Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another short overview of the book of 1 Samuel. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I hope everybody has been having a blessed day and an amazing week this far. All right, so kicking this thing off, the book of 1 Samuel starts off talking about a man named Elkanah. I think his name is Elkanah. That's his name, Elkanah. I'm sorry, y'all. And Elkanah was a great man. He had two wives, one named Peninnah and one named Hannah. Well, Peninnah was able to have children. Hannah was not. So Peninnah used to pick on her about that. So what Hannah ended up doing was she ended up praying to God, and God blessed her to have a child. Now, in her prayer, she made a vow to God. She was like, Lord, bless me with a son, and if you bless me with this son, I will give him back to you. So God blessed her with a son, ended up blessing her with a son, and then his name was Samuel. All right, Samuel ended up becoming a great prophet for the Lord. So after she had Samuel ended up staying with Eli at that time, and Eli was a great priest. And what he would do is he would assist him in different things. All right. So, all right, it goes on to talk about that in 1 Samuel all the way through about 1 Samuel 3. All right. So in 1 Samuel 4, the Philistines end up capturing the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was built back when Moses and them were around. So they kept it. They kept it. It was sacred. This is pretty much a representation of God. That's what this was, that God was there. He was in the land. He was protecting them. He was watching out for them. That's what this represented, where this was stolen by the Philistines because they ended up going to war. The Philistines won and they stole this. So when they stole this, after stealing it, it's a whole bunch of other stuff started happening. Like they ended up putting it in this room where they kept their god at. Their god name was Baal. If you haven't heard of Baal, I think a lot of artists, secular artists, and different movie actors and things of this nature in the entertainment business, you'll hear them talk about Baal. Baal is this false god that these people believe in and still believe in today for some people. All right, but anyway, they put the Ark of the Covenant next to Baal, right? Next to this statue, which I think it was a bull. It's a statue of a bull. So they left it in there. They ended up leaving. They came back. The statue was no longer standing next to the Ark of the Covenant. All right. It was laid down, face down, in front of the Ark of the Covenant. All right. So the Philistines was looking weird, like, what? Like, maybe we tripping. Let's pick it up and put it back. All right. So they picked it up and they put it back. The next morning they came back and it was laying down again, face down toward the Ark of the Covenant. But this time the head was cut off, the arms was cut off. Like it had been dissimulated. It was tore up, you know. So God broke that statue down to show him, like, no, like what's wrong with y'all? Y'all done lost your mind gonna put this statue up here next to me. And you could imagine if that statue was living, it'd been over there shaking after that first night because God had knocked it down. So it'd been scared, like, oh, y'all don't leave me in here. And then he ended up getting his head cut off and his arms. All right. So anyway, they couldn't put that back up. So after that had happened, what God ended up doing was causing the people in the land, the Philistines, to get sick. All right, so these people started getting sick and started dying and everything. So they're like, it's the Ark of, they figured it out. It's the Ark of the Covenant. We got to get rid of this thing. So they moved it to, they got everybody together. They decided to move it to Gad. The people of Gad was like, no, don't send it over here. Don't send it over here. And I think they still ended up sending it over there. And then what ended up happening was the people over there started getting sick. So it had to become a known thing that wherever this was in the land of the Philistines, people were going to die. It was like Corona. It was taking out people. It was actually worse. But this thing was taking out people everywhere it went. So what they eventually ended up doing was sending it back. Sending it back to Israel. And then after sending it back to Israel, they ended up, the way that they did it, you knew it was nothing but God, and that's why they set it up like this. But they ended up making a wagon, and they put it on this wagon, attached it to some cows, and then they said, we'll let the cows take it and go. And you understand, they don't have like GPS and nothing like that. So they was like, if the cows go straight back to Israel with this, we know that it was God. If it don't go straight back to Israel, then it just happened by chance. So sure enough, it went straight back to Israel. So the Philistines, they followed it to see where it would go, and they seen that that's where it went at. They knew that it was God. They knew that God had forgave them, and they also sent an offering with it. It was like some gold and silver, different things of this nature, to apologize for stealing it. And because that was their way of saying to God, like, we're sorry. Tell your God, we are sorry. Please stop killing us. That's how they were. So anyway, after that ended up happening, looking at my notes, for you guys who've been following me and looking at the videos, y'all know that's what I'm looking at. In chapter 1 Samuel 3, nope. That's 4 through 6 that I was talking about with the Philistines capturing the ark. So in chapter 7, Samuel checks some of the children of Israel for worshiping Baal. He ends up getting on them because some of them were worshiping other gods. And you remember, that's one of the things that God told him not to do. You don't worship no other God but me. Our God is a jealous God. He do not like you worshiping other people or other things. He wants you to recognize that you are only here because of him and him alone. He the only one that deserves the glory. And he the only one that deserves the praise. My God, our God is so good. I'm telling you guys. So after that ended up happening in chapter 8. Israel requests a king. They want something feasible, something that they can see. And they ended up requesting this king. And what ended up happening made God mad, because God is their king. You feel me? But God honored it because Samuel brought it to him and everything. But he told Samuel, he said, let them know we're going to honor this, but I don't like it. So they got scared and everything, but he still did it. And God ended up telling him to get Saul, which is in chapter 9. And then the story talks about Saul from chapter 9 through chapter 11. We get to chapter 16. We start talking about David. David gets anointed king because Saul was doing good until he disobeyed God when they told him to go kill all of the enemies and everything in their camp. But they didn't do that like they were supposed to. So God got upset and decided, no, you can't be my king because you disobeying me. Chapter 17, Goliath challenges Israel. And y'all don't know, this is a major story in the Bible. It has been told from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. But David, being a child, ends up going out and with a slingshot and a couple rocks, beating this big old giant named Goliath. I'm telling you guys, y'all need to read this story. It is fire. I'm telling you. Chapter 18. Saul becomes jealous because they were coming back in town one day after war, and the women were chanting. They were chanting to him and singing songs, and they was like, Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed his 10,000s. And that made him mad because he was like, the only thing he hadn't taken was the kingdom. Everybody was praising him rather than me, and it made him very jealous. So he shows his jealousy from chapter 18 through chapter 23 by trying to kill David numerous times, just doing all kind of crazy stuff. But David would not try to kill him back because David could have. I really believe David could have got it. Okay, but David had too much respect for the Lord and what the Lord was doing to just go and kill a man that God once, that God put in the position to be the king in the first place. He understood that, So he said, let the Lord's will be done, and he respected God so much that he was like, I'm not going to take his life. In chapter 24, we see David spared Saul's life. All right. You can read about that there. In chapter 25, Samuel ends up dying. He's old now, and he ends up dying. So, he's not there to kind of try to talk sense into Saul or anything like that no more. In chapter 26, David spares Saul again. It's the second time he could have killed him. All right, guys, he could have killed him. I'm telling you. I don't think he wanted with David anyway, because if you think back when David had went against this giant, David had only been there because he had to bring his dad ordered him to bring food to his brothers and to the men that were fighting. That's the only reason he ended up there. He over here, this uncircumcised Philistine over there talking trash about our God, our living God. So David was like, nah, it's not what we finna do. All the other soldiers were scared of him. Saul was scared of this man because this man had been a man of war since he was a child. He was giant. We talking about somebody that's standing like 10, 12 feet tall. I'm talking about armor all the way down, armor all over his face, big old weapons and everything. A shield that was so big, you had to be in shape to carry this darn thing. You feel me? But David, through the help of the Lord, was able to kill this man with a doggone slingshot. Do you hear me? A slingshot. Yes. Bad man. But so the Lord was with him. Anyway, all right. At the chapter 31, Saul ends up finally dying and everything, and David becomes king. All right, so tomorrow we will be talking about 2 Samuel. All right, and that'll go into more detail about David and his reign as king. All right, you guys, I hope that this made you guys a little bit more interested in reading this book. All right, we love you guys. I pray that y'all enjoyed it. Y'all guys be blessed. Until the next time, peace.